Okay, welcome to my presentation of the biblical timeline, especially in reference to the Pentateuch, or the first 5 books attributed to Moses. This is a rough timeline that I made. The actual times are subject to revision. It's just to make a basic timeline with rough dates with familiar characters to include Adam, 10,000 BC, of course, is from Usher. Abraham, Moses, the person of interest, David, Daniel, and of course Jesus. Okay, Moses is highlighted red because my aim is to show from reading the Bible that the thought that Moses wrote the first 5 books of the Bible is erroneous in light of the invasion of Canaan. Okay, I don't know if some viewers are aware, but upon my reading of The Age of Reason, Thomas Paine uses examples of how Moses could not have written the first 5 books because he mentioned cities which were not in existence until after basically he would have lived, so he couldn't have written about it. But by speaking to believers, I believe that one of the ways that they're going to get over that is to use prophecy, because Moses, like all the other writers, were supposed to be divinely inspired, so I anticipate that response. But aside from that, my proposition that Moses did not write the first 5 books is not just because of what Thomas Paine mentioned in The Age of Reason and other people have mentioned, but also because of the repercussions that accepting this notion may have, especially in the historical writings of the Bible in regards to Canaan. So the Canaanite invasion and destruction was somewhere around here, right, with Joshua leading the Israelites to go slaughter men, women, and children. So if Moses wrote the first 5 books, where did he get the information from? Well, it did say that he went on top of Mount Sinai for several nights for a conference with his God. So I suggest that's the time that they're going to say that he got the information. What information did he get? Well, information about Abraham and Adam. And my question to believers and everybody who's interested is that if Moses got the information on top of Mount Sinai, right, then all the people that lived before Moses, right, didn't know about Adam, Abraham, and so on and so forth. Especially Adam, because of the concept of the fall of man. If there's no Adam and Eve, there's no fall of man, because the information was written by Moses at around this time on top of a mountain, rather exclusively, while the rest of the Israelites waited at the base of the mountain at the camp with Aaron. And certainly the Canaanites would not have been aware of Moses' writings and his God, because they were doing their thing in their land, minding their own business. And the reason why that's important is because if Moses gets this writing from his God on top of the mountain, nobody can really check it for accuracy, and so on and so forth. Secondly, Moses was Egyptian, essentially by birth. So some of the oldest writings of the Old Testament are written supposedly in Hebrew, but I question that, because how does Moses learn Hebrew, right? If he's born in Egypt, raised in Egypt, when he runs away from Egypt, he is called, or he's described as Egyptian by Zipporah and her sisters, and so on and so forth. So I question the language as well, because, and even if he wrote in Hebrew, I mean, the slaves were slaves, right? Did they know how to read and write Hebrew, or probably whatever the text of the Egyptians used? No matter which language you use, did they know? I mean, when did they have to be literate? When did Moses have time to be literate? And when whatever language he learned, I mean, within the Pharaoh's court, would he have learned Hebrew? And so on and so forth. So if people say that Moses got the information around this time, and he was the only person who knew about Abraham and Adam, then that makes the whole story suspicious. Just like Muhammad getting basically an isolated revelation, and also Mr. Smith, Joseph Smith of the Mormon fame. It's like a private revelation, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, there's going to be claims that there was plagues and things of that nature, but he's the one that's writing the book, so it's subjective. Also, of course, some of you might note that he wrote about his own death, and also he wrote in third person as well. But I'm just concerned about whether anybody before Moses knew about Adam and Eve, Abraham, and so on and so forth, because these are very important parts of the story. I say that he didn't write. I don't believe he existed, but if he did exist, he didn't write any of this. I support the belief that it was probably someone after Moses, say around the time of Ezra, which I think would be around this time, that wrote the stories, but more scholarship work needs to be done to verify that. But let's say that Moses, right, wrote about Adam and Abraham and so on and so forth. If people say that people knew about Adam and so on and so forth, and they were still sinful because the flood would have taken place around this time, then where are the stories that parallel what Moses is saying? So he's in effect, he's not bringing up new information, right? If people knew about it before, and if people knew about Adam and Abraham and the promise made to Abraham, and then the Canaanites being killed here, can it be made the case that they knew of the promise to Abraham? Because I suggest that Moses is just making stuff up, if he did write anything, in order to basically place the displaced Israelites in a land, because I mean, where they were staying at was probably too small or hospitable, and he makes up this story in order to basically kill people to take land. And the stories support that before they left Egypt, they robbed essentially the Egyptians of gold and things of that nature. That's a classic despotic move. And then when they took over some of the lands in Canaan, they killed everybody, but they made sure to take their gold and so on and so forth, and kept some of their female children to use as sex toys, which Yahweh got his cut of the little girls so that he can do his thing with. So that's my proposal. Again, to recap, Moses did not write anything, right? If he did, where did he get the information from? Is it at Sinai, somewhere around here? And if he did, was it the first time that people that lived before Moses have heard about the events in these time spaces, to include Abraham's story and Adam's story? Or did anybody before Moses write his stories or get the revelation? Can it be proven that anybody knew anything about the events described prior to Moses? Parallel stories and things of that nature. So that's my presentation, and I hope to get some feedback on it, and I await. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.